Daddy, I have never been so humiliated in my entire life.
I said what I said, and I'll stand by it to the death.
Shoot him, Daddy. Shoot him at once.
Why?
My honor is at stake.
Well, now, your honor.
Absolutely. He impugned my honor.
Impugned? What does that mean?
Slander. He slandered my honor.
He did?
I said what I said, and I'll stand by it to the death.
So guys, Alex Forrest here vlogging to you on a Thursday afternoon. So, frame tests, what are they and how do you deal with them? Now this is a particularly interesting area because, like a lot of this stuff, it's really extremely kind of counterintuitive in a way. And the thing is, I mean, I'm dealing with this topic now because of date 3, 52 first dates, where I had a bit of a frame test, but throughout the time that I did this 52 first dates adventure, every date, you know, you are dealing with a little bit of a frame test from a girl. You know, why? Why can't you just sit down, have a drink and say, hello love, you're nice, do you want to get jiggy, you want to be my girlfriend, and let's have a nice pint or a cocktail because you're a girl, and I'll have a pint because I'm a man, and that's how it works, isn't it? And you kind of, you know, make the mistake of thinking that girls think the way guys think, and they don't. Really, at the heart of this is the fact that a girl, generally speaking, there are always exceptions, is looking for a guy who is strong, who can protect her, who can care for her, who provides security, and so on and so forth. When you think about it like that, it's absolutely entirely natural that a girl should challenge you, challenge your frame, test your mettle, and to see, you know, whether you can be knocked off base. Because quite frankly, if you can easily be knocked off base, then how are you going to be able to stand up for her? You know, if to use the silly prehistoric caveman analogy, you know, if a saber-toothed tiger pops his head out of a tree, I don't know whether saber-toothed tigers climb trees, but I guess you're talking a million years ago, so you're hardly going to be able to disagree with me on that point. Anyway, this particular saber-toothed tiger likes trees, and he likes popping his head out of the leaves and giving cavemen a fright, and then perhaps gobbling them up. Now, a caveman who deals with, you know, a saber-toothed tiger in, you know, a confident, intelligent way, who's not knocked off base, who's able to think in the moment about what is the best course of action. You've got to agree with me here. That's one of the most attractive things that a girl can find in a guy. Yeah, and you know, a million years later, to the current day, guys are under similar sort of tests from women. Call them tests if you like. It's not like a girl is manipulative or unconsciously doing this. It's just sort of you know, entirely natural that she does this. So a million years later, you're faced with this in you know, civilized society, and she's going to be trying to knock you off base. I mean, what's interesting here is you look at this in terms of movies, which I'm fond of. You know, over the past 50 years, let's take a Western. You've come from a place where the role model for a man was epitomized by John Wayne.
I didn't necessarily call you anything, but I said what I said, and I'll stand by it to the death.
Well, just for the tally books, what did you say?
I said that any girl who would permit a man to kiss her before they're formally engaged is a trollop.
He said it again! Shoot him!
I'm showing my age, but then if you're watching this, hopefully you are a vintage dude of a more mature generation and you get it. And it's interesting, isn't it? That role model for a man that was so popular, my father used to love watching John Wayne Westerns on a Sunday afternoon, is pretty much gone. Now, quite frankly, a hero in a Western or any movie has got to have plenty of flaws, plenty of insecurities, has got to be vulnerable, and so on and so forth. Makes for interesting characters. I'm not saying it makes for bad movie making. It's interesting storytelling, but you know, it ain't a great starting point for a guy who's just meeting a girl for the first time or the first few times and going out on dates with her. quite frankly, you'd far be better off in your spare time watching John Wayne westerns than you would the contemporary fare. Now, look, not all girls are attracted by the strong men, and as I say, there are always exceptions. But I think, generally speaking, and if you're getting into this life and want to improve this area of your life and get some mastery, you're going to have to learn how to keep both feet planted firmly on the ground, whether you're dealing with the beautiful fairer sex or saber-toothed tiger. Now, I'm going to just come on and give you a few examples, a bunch of classic examples of situations that you're going to face on the date before concluding with some general remarks. So let's have a look now at some common frame tests, and I'm every example is something that I have faced on a date myself. Now look, a classic one, I mean, perhaps I should just first say that you're going to face tests when you meet a girl for the first time during the daytime. You're going to face it on texting. A simple test on the street might simply be, look, I'm very busy. Or it might be, do you always run up to girls like this? Yeah, and if she says she's very busy, you say, yeah, no, sure, I'm a bit stretched for time myself, but can I just say one more thing? If she is texting you and she's saying, or she's in the street and she's saying, oh, do you do this all the time? I remember getting weirded out by that. How do I respond to that? I've had a girl recently who's actually discovered these videos online and she sent me the link to my own YouTube channel during the texting exchange after a date. So there's always fresh challenges. So she says, you do this all the time, and you go, no, I mean, you could handle it a variety of different ways. You could just simply say, if I see something or someone that I really like, I go for it in life. Remember, you don't need to do much when it comes to passing a frame test. All you need to do is to pass the frame test, and then you change the topic of conversation. You don't make a big meal of it, for goodness gracious sake. Okay, or you might be kind of playful about it. I remember doing this with date 1 in my book, and she said, oh, so what number am I? This is on the date, and I said, yeah, good question. 18. You're 18, but you know what? You're moving up the league table. I've got hopes. Yeah. What will she do? She'll laugh. You have passed the test, and then you can go on to enjoy the evening together. Obviously, what you don't say is you don't address the little test intellectually, okay, if you're an intellectual, and you don't say, oh, well, yeah, I do this a lot. I actually went out approached about, I don't know, let me just check my phone, 15, yeah, you're probably number 17 actually. Some girls are nice, and obviously I get blown out a lot. You've got to take the knocks and the blows, haven't you? But yeah, guilty. That's not a good way of handling the frame test. So you get the message. Here's a couple of other common frame tests. Obviously, you're a bit old, or you're too old for me, is a classic frame test for an older vintage dude. I mean, my usual way of handling that is saying, you're a bit of a baby, does your dad know that you're out on a Thursday night? Haven't you got some homework to do? So you can deal with that, playfully in that way. I had a really interesting situation with a girl that I wrote about in my first book, where this was over text. She basically sent me a long "I'm not interested" type message. Yeah, this is like really a next level up in terms of frame tests, where a girl is saying, you know, in this instance, look, I've been thinking, and you know what, you're a bit too old for me, and I really like you and enjoy your company, but only as a friend. I hope you understand. Cross. Yeah? And, you know, I remember at that time I was a bit down in the dumps about that. We'd had a really lovely couple of 2 or 3 dates. And I actually handled it by writing a text back, which basically was just light but confident. It was like, sure, I completely understand. Don't you think you can't keep up with my experience? Listen, there's a great wine festival taking place at the market near where I live, I think in a couple of weeks' time. Got to go, meeting up with my friend Lauren Cross. Now, who's Lauren? Well, it hardly matters. The point is, you're expressing a sort of confidence that you are a busy guy, you're meeting friends, perhaps a girl, perhaps a date even, and that you are not needy. So what was so interesting about that was that was really kind of like a real trial for me, because a real important key moment, because as a result of that text, believe it or not, the entire tenor of the relationship flipped round, and we saw each other again. We had something of a mini relationship. We went round to her apartment to watch a movie, and we made out. So, you know, as I say, speaking from experience, it's very interesting how powerful it can be if you do pass a girl's test and kind of man up. I think I tend to, being an older dude, I'll often send a cheeky ping. On another occasion with a girl where she raised the age objection, I sent her, yeah, you're probably right. It could get a bit tricky under the covers with my Zimmer frame, you know, and then there's the false teeth. I've sent pictures before, picture pings and text of there's a particular shop in Warsaw, kind of a chemist type shop, and they've got a skeleton in a white doctor's jacket, and I occasionally will send a ping, you know, found someone older than me in the shopping centre, or something cheeky like that. And that's all great, because a girl just needs to be reassured that, you know, it really isn't that much of a big deal, the age thing. It's social pressure that she's feeling. She may be genuinely attracted to you. There are many examples of great relationships where there's a big age gap, and she's just under the normal social pressures, and you need to kind of try and encourage her to just not get hooked, not get hung up on age and number. I mean, at the end of the day, it's about, you know, your health, your fitness, your character, and, you know, as I say, ultimately she's looking for a strong, secure and established guy, and an older guy will often tick those boxes. Now here's the final example, and it's the classic, probably the most classic frame test of all, and that is the let's just be friends. Okay, you might actually use the word date. We're on a date during the date, and she might say, oh, I thought this was just a friendly drink. Yeah. Now, if you do get the let's just be friends, what you need to understand is a girl is not ruling you out, is not cancelling you and saying, oh, no, you don't fit the bill, I'm not attracted to you. She's as often as not telling you that she's unsure, she's maybe. And she uses the friends thing simply in order to put a little bit of distance between you and her. Yeah. So it's not, guys often assume a no, a big no. I'm not interested in you in terms of a romantic relationship. Okay. So where you have that kind of a situation, you know, I had a girl who said, look, I'm happy to meet up for a drink, but look, let's just buddy up as friends, she said, for a drink. Of course, the date was ultimately very flirtatious and physical. I responded by saying, kind of ignoring what was underneath that question and just saying, cool, that sounds fun, let's, in inverted commas, buddy up on Thursday night 7 p.m, dress smart so we match, winky face and a kiss or something. So I took the friends thing, kind of played with it and playfully, and didn't close with the question, because remember, it's not about logic, it's not about being intellectual in dealing with these frame tests, it's about standing strong. I have on dates, I've actually, I often refer to it and bring it out in the course of a date, a video from a clip from When Harry Met Sally, that classic movie where there's a big argument in the car about women and men can't be friends. That's quite a cool one to bring out on a date, actually, because it kind of subtly indicates where you are coming from, that you are clearly interested in her romantically, because women and men can't be friends, right? So you're kind of telegraphing that. And it's also quite cool because a lot of girls will have difficulty with that concept. I've had numerous conversations with girls who just simply don't believe that it's true. And it's interesting how, as often as not during those situations, I've managed to make them at least think very, very carefully about whether or not actually I'm right, you know, and it is true. And I think deep down a girl does kind of know that it's true, but she doesn't want to believe that it's true because she just loves having men friends around, orbiting, giving her love and attention and affection, so that she can just keep planes in the air. She's the air traffic controller in this analogy, and then make a decision in her own good time. Yeah, and if you don't make a decision, I'll tell you what, she almost certainly won't either. The thing that I would say generally is, of course, you must not automatically assume that every time a girl says something, that it's a test. This stuff is about using these tools in order to kind of discover who you naturally are and to kind of own your masculinity in the dating arena. Yeah. Once they've done their job, you don't need to carry on applying them. It's like conscious incompetence, and all the way to unconscious competence, where you're doing it naturally. And a guy who's experienced this stuff, he'll be far more relaxed and about conversations and about texting and so on and so forth. But certainly, for some reason, men, through social conditioning, have kind of adopted a mindset, a little bit of a pussy mindset. Then they've just simply got into bad habits of thinking about the dating arena, as I did before I got into this stuff. These sorts of tips, methods, whatever you want to call them, are there to remove the wrong thinking. Yeah, you don't want to go around being a kind of a dating machine who always applies and tests. These will just help remove the wrong thinking, so you kind of can move into a place in your life where you are naturally flirtatious, naturally challenging, naturally stand your ground. And isn't that a great kind of aspiration for a guy if he wants to get a little bit of a mastery, a little bit of a handle on his dating life? So ultimately, a good yardstick for whether you are kind of passing a girl's frame test is, are you trying to please her? And when these things come up, when you're trying to either apologise to yourself, justify yourself, or please her by saying something that you think that she will like. And so actually a good yardstick for whether or not you passed a frame test is, the classic one is, you say, I'm a bit of a thug actually, I don't read much, I watch a lot of television, like football, and I drink beer. As much exercise as I get is between the sofa and the fridge on a Saturday night, and and I fart a lot. And she'll go, that's disgusting, and she'll punch you on the arm or something and laugh. Or you're such a sexist, and she'll laugh. She knows that you don't mean it. Yeah, a guy who says to a girl, "Oh yeah, I do yoga on a Friday. I'm reading the complete works of Shakespeare at the moment. I'm learning how to kite surf. and you know, and I just think that leading a full life is really important. You know, particularly when you're a beginner or an intermediate, that sort of self-justifying, attempting to please in order to present a good picture of yourself is not the way to pass a girl's frame tests. She knows. She's got military grade radar. She just wants to see if she can knock you off base, or whether you'll stand your ground, in which case she'll find that extremely attractive.
He said it again! Shoot him!
Now, hold on.
No, don't hold on. If you're my father, if you love me, you'll shoot him.
Well, I'm your father, and I sure love you. So?
Oh, you shot him! You really shot him! Hey! He dies.
If he dies, he'll be the first man ever killed with a blank cartridge. We use this to start the races on the 4th.
Hey! I'm on fire!
Oh, you poor dear.
Poor dear! You'd have had me shot in cold blood.
But it didn't happen.
Yelling I insulted you and all. What you need is a good spanking.
Deb! Daddy!
Leave me out of this.
I think I'll give you what you deserve.
You wouldn't dare!
Oh, wouldn't I?
Oh, no, cut.
One shot. And this kicking and yelling.
That is wrong.